Happy New Year! We are starting 2025 with the radiant, glowing God of the Dawn, Lathander. Welcome back to Beauty and the Beholder. If it's your first time here, hi, hello. My name is Kiki. We just talk about D&D while putting on some makeup, hang out. It's a good time. If you love games and you love to gossip about fictional fantasy characters, I'm your girl. Let's get into it. Lathander is the God of the Dawn. He is all about renewal and the potential of a new day. He's a god of hope, new beginnings, new endeavors, perfect for the new year. He was symbolized by the rising sun, but rather than being like the sun itself, he's more of the dawn, representing change and rebirth. His current domains are life and light, which makes total sense. But throughout different editions of Dungeons & Dragons, he has been associated with birth, spring, youth, vitality, beauty, athletics, creativity. Basically like D&D's Apollo. You know that guy? You might have heard of him. Some of Lathander's nicknames include Morninglord, Commander of Creativity, Inspiration's Dawn, the Rose and Gold God. I feel like he would rock some good rose gold jewelry. Bringer of the Dawn, Lord of Birth and Renewal, Patron to Spring and Eternal Youth, and Mentor of Self-Perfection. He's really giving me 𝕻𝖎𝖕𝖕 vibes, like the motivational speaker, change your life in 30 days kind of guys. He's giving that. So what does Lathander look like? Lathander often appears as a golden-skinned, athletic, and handsome, gorgeous young man, which makes sense. If you're a god and you can appear however you want, why not be pretty, you know? He's usually dressed in like noble robes with reds, pinks, and yellows, and he rocks a red and gold sash, which I think is a really cute little detail. We love a queen that accessorizes. And I mean queen like gender neutrally. He specifically wears these golden sandals. I'm picturing like 𝕵𝖎𝖕𝖈 or Jimmy Choo, you know, it's giving summer in Rome. Very Apollo, like he's literally Apollo. He would leave scorch marks on the ground wherever he went. Honey, he was stepping in those boots. He was walking the walk, you know? You gotta respect it because this is such a huge inconvenience. Instead of walking, he would often float above the ground and materialize in this golden glow of sunbeams. He could also appear in a mist of like glowing rose-colored swirls with two golden eyes looking at you. I do have to hand it to him. This is really well thought out. Like, who is his creative director? One form he would appear as would be a giant man when he would go to visit his lover, 𝕻𝖗𝖈. 𝕻𝖗𝖈 is the earth goddess. And we have mentioned her in quite a few videos, so I think she's coming up on the pipeline for a video of her own. But today we're talking Lathander. He would appear as a giant, shining man with a fiery, flaming orange hair. Think of like a cross between the Green Giant and the Fire Boy from Monster High. Those two. What I love about him is that he's noted to always carry himself proudly. His confidence is all the way up there. You gotta respect it. What is that saying? When you look good, you feel good. I mean, he's got the 𝕵𝖎𝖕𝖈 sandals. He's got the Gucci belt. He's got a fiery red lace front. Like, he is serving. He's putting that effort in. It's giving God of the Dawn. So, he's God of the Dawn, all light and fun and happy. But he's got a dark side. What was Lathander's personality like? Lathander was, despite being one of the oldest gods in the Forgotten Realms, basically like a young man who hasn't been jaded by the world yet. He's very cheery, very hopeful, just has a bright, positive outlook on everything. God's bless him. He had a reputation for being over-enthusiastic, slightly vain, pretty much like all flaws common in young people. He was the eternal optimist with a desire to never look back at the past, always keep moving forward, which is so me. Whenever I make a mistake, I'm like, that was so me 5 minutes ago. I'm a changed person since then, you know? He's real for that, honestly. Challenged the traditional ways of living and was pretty like stubborn and headstrong in his beliefs. Another note is he also saw the undead as corrupt mockeries of life. A little judgmental, but okay. That's what he said, not me. Anyway, these flaws of his would be what caused him to have a little oopsie. Now, there aren't many details about his origins, so we don't know exactly how he was created, but what we do know is that he's an aspect of AMAUNATOR. Who's AMAUNATOR? Thanks for asking. AMAUNATOR is a Netherese god. You remember that ancient civilization? We talked about it in the Mystra video, but it's the one that like came crashing down and had the floating cities. Ancient history. Also what powered the crown of Karsus and like, you know, strong magic from that place, right? AMAUNATOR was the sun god of Netheril. When Netheril fell, all of that fun, crazy stuff happened. Remember, Mystra had to sacrifice herself, and then the spell plague happened. Magic was turned upside down because of that. AMAUNATOR, like, disappeared because of that. Very strict, a little cranky. When the spell plague happened, Lathander emerged as an aspect of him and decided he wanted to like be different, and so he became the young, hip, cooler version of AMAUNATOR, basically. So as we know, a lot of the gods have some big event. The biggest event that Lathander is known for is the Dawn Cataclysm. The Dawn Cataclysm, it sounds really serious because it is. There's not really many details about it, but what we do know in Forgotten Realms lore is that basically he tried to remake the realms from scratch in his image and like get rid of all things evil or old. He said, let me start a new save file. Let me get rid of all these Sims townies real quick. Actually, when I put it that way, it sounds reasonable because I like to make over all my townies in The Sims. I can't blame him, honestly, when I put it that way in Sims terms. Yeah, we don't really have many details besides that. I think the only detail is like the timeline. We believe it might have been after the fall of Netheril, but nobody knows for sure. So if you know, let me know. It's actually quite funny that we don't really have much details about it because it makes me think he must have gotten a really good PR team, you know? He cleaned all of that up. He cleaned his messy act up. The Dawn Cataclysm kicked off a series of events in Forgotten Realms history, and one of them led to the death of several deities. One of them was 𝕻𝖗𝖈. 𝕻𝖗𝖈 was a lesser deity, the goddess of pragmatism and reason. She was dating 𝕻𝖗𝖈. Yeah. 𝕻𝖗𝖈, the god of like protectors, guardians, that guy. Yep. I don't know how it happened, but 𝕻𝖗𝖈 was drowned by 𝕻𝖚𝖈, the goddess of the sea, the bitch queen. That's right. If you haven't yet watched the 𝕻𝖚𝖈 episode, definitely check it out. I put on some fake ears. It's a fun time. But because Lathander set all those events in motion, 𝕻𝖗𝖈 was like, it was basically his fault. 𝕻𝖗𝖈, to this day, never forgave him. For good reason. That's terrible. But, like every narcissist believes, this whole thing, the Dawn Cataclysm, was somebody else's fault in Lathander's eyes. And who could that somebody else be? He blamed it on none other than 𝕲. That's right. Our Lady of Loss, the goddess of darkness. 𝕲, is hard to believe. So what we know is that after that, Lathander kept working on building another pantheon of gods. I don't know what came about from that, but I guess we will learn one day. Now, Lathander didn't walk out of this unscathed. No. He also lost a loved one too because of his actions. Tyche, the original goddess of fortune, was his lover at the time. He's had quite a bit of lovers, actually. She was like not having his grab for power. She was like, no, sorry, I don't want anything to do with it. So she was like, bye. Call me when you're done having delusions of grandeur. She decided to leave him with a parting gift, and she left him with a kiss of misfortune as a parting gift. Ouch. How we lose her is she goes on a trek. She's taking a walk, a breather, and she's hanging out in the mountains of Toril, maybe in the ski lodge, who knows. She comes across this gorgeous rose. It's beautiful, like perfect, so perfect that she thought a god made it. She took it as a sign from Lathander that he was apologizing, which unfortunately was not the case. That would have been really sweet if it was, but I actually have a quote here from Joel the Rebel Bard. Thanks, Joel. The rose, however, was not an offering from Lathander, but a trap set by Moander, the Darkbringer, god of decay. The rose blossomed and its pollen drifted into her ear. where it began to rot her from the inside out. Thus, the Darkbringer hoped to gain for himself 𝕻𝖘𝖈's power over luck. Thank you, Joel the Bard. So, 𝕻𝖘𝖈's rotting, like, this is not good. We gotta do something. Somebody swoops in. Guess who it is? It's 𝕻𝖚𝖈. She comes in to save the day, and the only way that she could salvage 𝕻𝖘𝖈 was to split her in two. This is how we actually get 𝕻𝖆𝖕𝖈, the goddess of misfortune, chaos and bad luck and all that, and 𝕻𝖗𝖈, the goddess of good luck. So interesting to me that 𝕻𝖚𝖈 is involved here, because this kind of mirrors the birth of 𝕻𝖚𝖈 and 𝕻. I think that's pretty cool. You think she's like 𝕻𝖆𝖕𝖈 and 𝕻𝖗𝖈's godmother, maybe? That would be cute. After all of that, 𝕻𝖚𝖈 coming in, taking the time out of her day to save what was left of 𝕻𝖘𝖈. Lathander doesn't like either of them. You know, it's not the same as dating 𝕻𝖘𝖈, which makes sense. You can't expect him to fall in love with brand new people. But yeah, ever since that happened, he has been pretty sad. So that sucks. Lathander's symbol is the sun. Pretty straightforward. But his colors are yellow, red, and rose. Animals associated with Lathander include robins, sun peacocks, which he loves for their plumage. He can appreciate somebody with good style, you know? Good fashion sense. He must get along really well with Sune, I feel. The, like, goddess of beauty. Sun peacock feathers, butterflies, and aster blossoms are a sign of his favor. He doesn't have any associated gems or precious stones like some of the other gods do. What would you associate with him? The dogma for Lathanderite: strive always to aid, to foster new hope, new ideas, and a new prosperity for all humankind and its allies. Perfect thyself and guard ever against pride, for it is a sacred duty to foster new growth, nurture growing things, and work for rebirth and renewal. Be fertile in mind and body. Consider always the consequences of thine actions, so that at least effort may bring the greatest and best reward. Wherever you go, sow seeds of plants, tend the growing things you find, and plant seeds of hope, new ideas, and plans for a rosy future in the minds of all. Whenever possible, see each dawn. Such a beautiful dogma. I don't think we've covered many good aligned gods. Anyway, I can't forget my mascara. Lathander is all about optimism and perseverance. He believes it's important to feel good about each new day. The Lathanderite Church believes it's important to have positive energy, especially in advance of an upcoming event, so that the event will go well. They are very like law of attraction, affirmations, you know. I love it. They're the new age peeps of the Forgotten Realms. It's fun though. We need something to balance out all the evil. A few favorite sayings of Lathander include, from death, life, there is always another morning, and in the dawn, beauty reigns, and the way is clearer. They're all so beautiful. Honestly, we needed this. I feel like 2025 has already felt like 4 years. So I'm like, we need some lightness, you know, some positive vibes from Lathander. Thank you, Lathander. You know what? He is going to help me get out of bed in the morning. For Lathander, far more importance is placed on acting out of the goodness of your heart and doing what's right, rather than following strict rules or the system. If it's good, do it. I think being able to do what you see and feel is right makes sense. It's a good thing to live by. Death is considered a reward for the clergy, since passing away is like returning to Lathander, you know? A lot of people will worship Lathander in advance of a new endeavor or journey because he's all about that. He is there to be your #1 supporter. All of Lathander's clergy respected art, liberty, nature, culture, bettering yourself, and strove to bring hope to others. A lot of them worked in the creative arts. They were pretty intolerant of evil, and especially undead. Really don't like undead over here. Some even insisted that he was like the reincarnation of AMAUNATOR. There was this like subsect of followers that really took the whole like him being from AMAUNATOR thing very seriously. And there was this thing called the Rising Sun Heresy, or Risen Sun Heresy. This was the belief that Lathander would one day flip out and go back to being AMAUNATOR, basically, just the more neutral, lawful side of him, rather than this happy-go-lucky 𝕻𝖎𝖕𝖈 guy. As for the clergy, specialty priests call themselves Morninglords or dawn priests. There's not really like a hierarchy from church to church either, and no central authority. Kind of everybody's on the same playing field. I thought this was funny. When issues of doctrine or policy come up that must be decided upon, a conference is called at the church, and the issue is resolved. That's it. I thought it was hilarious. I wish life were that easy. But I guess it is for the Lathanderian faith. Anyway, novices are called the awakened, and they gain the title of dawnbringer once they become full priests. From rank, it goes like dawnbringer, dawn-greeter, dawn-lord, high dawn-lord, dawn-master, morninglord, high morninglord, morn-master, high morn-master, and sunrise lord. The kind of practical day-to-day things that they would do is seek to rebuild different areas or civilizations, restore barren areas, cultivate and grow farmland, drive out evil, battle monsters, plant seeds, and encourage and aid adventurers. They would also recover lost magical items, pieces of literature, and works of art. I love how cultural they are. Lathanderites study, restore, and attempt to duplicate, emulate, or expand upon these recovered items and work when possible. I'm sorry if you can't tell, I got a new spinning chair and I can't stop spinning in it. But I'm going to stop. As expected, most of Lathanderite rituals take place at dawn. There's one ceremony that's for funerals. Their funerals are called the going down. It's basically a solemn candlelit ceremony, and they go down, followed by a wake that lasts until the next dawn. There's also the Song of the Dawn, which is performed on special days like the vernal and autumnal equinoxes. This is where priests of Lathander would sing and blend their vocal harmonies like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Oh my god, did you all see Wicked? Oh my god, I cannot stop listening to the Wicked soundtrack. Whew. It's been like a straight month, actually. There are a lot of Lathanderite temples. I don't think I'm gonna get into all of them, y'all. Lathandrianism is pretty popular, so it's pretty wealthy as a church. They have opulent temples throughout the north, some of which push back the borders of good taste, as well as less audacious and more serviceable structures, really bougie. Look, they can't help that they're bougie. Somebody in the realms needs to be bougie. The main room of the temple always faced east to the horizon so that the faithful can see the dawn as they're doing their duties, praying and all that. Temples would also host different sporting events and competitions like for the literary and fine arts as well. There are a lot of Lathanderite temples. There is the House of the Morning in Evening Star, Morning Mist Hall in Cormyr, Lathander's Light in Dagger Falls. There's the Spires of the Morning, which is a grand temple to Lathander in Waterdeep. There's the Temple of Lathander in Myth Drannor. And then there's the Rosimorn Monastery, which, as we know from Baldur's Gate 3, fell to Githyanki, who turned it into a creche. And in my first playthrough, was accidentally blown up, so it no longer exists in that timeline. A few affiliated orders include Order of the Aster, which is like a knightly order of paladins and fighters, and the Order of the Sun Soul, a monastic order from Netheril that worshipped AMAUNATOR. As we know, a few people who worshipped AMAUNATOR and switched over to Lathander. Now, what about his relationships? Lathander and Chauntea were a thing at one point for centuries. They saw themselves as kindred spirits, twin flames, whatever you call it. Before Chauntea, though, was Tyche, the one who... Tyche was kind of like his first true love, you know? It's said that Tyche and Lathander once observed the birth of a new universe together for an entire year while lounging on a space whale's back. I needed a moment to process that whole sentence. That is apparently a very dear memory to Lathander. His allies included Gond, Timora, Tyr, Torm, Ilmater, Sune, Selune, Ogma, Kalimvor. His foes were Cyric, Talos, and Shar. And Helm still had some beef with him, from losing his lava. there's some real beef there. Now for some character inspiration, if you want to play a Lathander worshipping or related character, for a background, acolyte, guide, or some sort of artist, whether that's visual arts or poetry. You can also see some sort of like athlete. Some classes would be Light Domain Cleric, Paladin, Oath of Devotion, Bard, can't go wrong with Bard, a Divine Soul Sorcerer, or Druid, Circle of the Sun. That would be really cool. Maybe your character finds hope in every situation to the point where it's a little concerning. They might be a little overconfident, like Lathander, in their abilities and their idea of spreading good in the world. They're just a little naive. Perhaps. Maybe being kind to others and spreading hope is really important to them. To them, there's always something to be learned. There's always another dawn. I really enjoy learning more about Lathander. I feel like he is a character that is so similar to Greek mythology, which is so exciting. I love that he is a good god, but definitely still has those flaws to him. I think that is so important. Playing a Lathanderite cleric or druid, like, that would be so much fun. I feel like I could use the positivity, you know? If you played a character associated with Lathander, please let me know in the comments. Even if I don't get to it, please know that I read all the comments and I love seeing all your stories. Seriously, somebody came back to one of my videos in the month I was gone and was like, where have you been? Honestly, y'all, your comments inspire me and help me so much because I work a full-time job. It really motivates me to know that y'all enjoy these. For more juicy lore, definitely check out the Beauty and the Beholder playlist. And if you haven't already and you got to this point, subscribe, baby. We've spent this much time together. Might as well spend more. I hope you slay your day. Thank you for being here. Ciao.